guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is entitled Family. So this is my first time posting here. It's more to help me get my stress and just frustration out. Sorry if this is a bit ranty. I am a 32-year-old male, living with my incredibly entitled and extremely toxic parental units and a miraculously even more entitled and toxic younger sister trying to become more independent. Why haven't I moved out at this age? I suffer from several forms of massive anxiety, and in my younger years, after being diagnosed with the alphabet soup of disorders including autism, which my toxic biofamily made sound worse than it actually is, since it's the mild Asperger's, not what they implied it was. Each person I was taken to always said different things. Anyone got a bingo card? My family started treating me like a outcast to the point they wouldn't even call me by my name. They would just go, "Boy, do the dishes." Or they would just grab me and drag me and order me to do some bit of housework or another. My siblings never had to do this, and still don't for the most part. I was no longer a member of the family. I was treated more like a dog that rolled in something smelly than a kid that with a little bit of help could have grown into a well-adjusted adult. But where are my manners? I jumped right into the main issue without explaining why my parents and younger sister are entitled. I may ramble a bit here because I have a bad habit of going on a tangent when people actually listen, or read in this case, and the brain bees, which is what I call my distracted ADHD thought process, run away with me. From what I can remember, my mother never particularly wanted me around except, "Boy, do this." Even as a kid, she clearly preferred her daughters, and if I reviewed anything remotely important to me, she would find a way to take it away, and honestly she'd do her best to destroy it before letting me find it. My father never really seemed to care either way, lacking the spine to stand up to my mother's demands. Come to think of it, he was probably more toxic in my younger years than entitled, but that sense of entitlement came along, so don't worry, I'll share with you all the deets I can without actually giving away information that, as absent-minded as I can be, even I know shouldn't be on the web. So most of the time when I was told to do the housework, I was not allowed to go to bed till it was done. Which means normally I ended up going to bed at 4 a.m. because I'd be given a list of chores I was meant to do. It was not a fun time. Worse was then I'd have to get up at 7 to get ready to go to school, where my siblings would bully and harass me non-stop through the school day. It got to the point where I was removed from school because having an emotional breakdown was too much of a problem for my other classmates, so fun times. Which goes to the whole boarding school debacle, which honestly is a horror story all in and of itself, thus not really fitting for this particular tale. These days I am stuck living with my mother, father and younger sister. This is the fun part where you all get to hear about the entitlement. By the way, buckle in friends, you're in for a ride. My mother treats me like I'm a stain on the family because I was born. Remember her preference for girls comment from before, and will often slap me when I have done something to upset her, which could be anything from forgetting to put my clothes away after I just got done doing my laundry, which means they are in the laundry basket in my bedroom waiting to be folded and put away, to forgetting to wash a spoon after making myself a cup of tea, which would have been pointless as I drink a lot of tea and reuse the same spoon and cup as to not dirty more dishes. It also extends to me rolling over in my sleep, because my bed creaks a little since it's so old, and she has, and will likely continue to, woke me up out of a dead sleep to scream at me about it. My sister? Well, she's the one whom tells me to kill myself so bloody often it's like it's a record being stuck on loop. She will often shoulder check me or push me out the way when I'm nearby just because I was in the way, when there was clearly plenty of space for her to pass. Then in a smug little voice she will go, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Next time get out of my way," before kicking me in the gut and laughing. She is the sort of person who demands everything be about her. I swear a good 2/3 RDS of the stories I've heard about Karens in the wild could apply to my sister with ease. She also tends to eat everything in the house, even more so if she'd been told ahead of time it was my food. I think she takes special pleasure in making sure that I cannot eat because she scarfs everything up so fast that you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference between her and a vacuum cleaner. My dad? Well, no matter what happens, he does absolutely nothing about it. He just treats anything like it's too much hassle for him to even do anything, unless it involves him getting money. The moment money is involved, he's all up in that business. including the fact that he really only took me to try to find out what was wrong with me because he found out that he could get benefits in my name. Now even though he's making me pay rent out of those benefits, which I do understand, don't get me wrong, what I don't understand is why I am apparently only making enough to make roughly £20 a week when that's not even starvation wages, so there is no possible way that the benefits he is pocketing is that low. And please do not get me started on the fact that it was only within the last 8 months that I became able to have any say at all in my own bank card, because really that rant will last hours. I have reached out multiple times for help from others, but nothing ever comes from it. I have a small friend group online now that has helped me start to come out of my shell. To be able to make this post even, they encouraged me to start saving and pooling little bits of money to get an electronic vehicle, scooter. So I could say get a local job to save up money to move out to the US, where a friend of mine has a room set aside for me for a fresh start. The next story is titled Am I the A-hole for having people's cars towed? Backstory. My neighbors and I were close, I even went to their wedding. Since COVID we don't really talk much. They live few doors down to me and own a second home across from me and my parents' house. I made friends with their second house tenants who told me they were being kicked out so neighbor can start using said house as an Airbnb. Neighbor themselves never told me, my parents, or close neighbors they were doing this. Neighborhood is zoned single-family residential. Been 4 months and people come, go. Biggest problems are that since these people are on vacation it gets noisy. But I don't care, even enjoyed popping over sometimes and hanging. Sometimes though these guests will park in our yard. We have a camper van and 3 cars, so when we're not home there's gaps. No one asks us, not even neighbor. First time I was like, meh, it's a blip. Now we have to worry about constant parking. And people give me attitude. Clearly no one cares, it's someone else's home and we're not a hotel strip. So, I just took photos of the car in offense, and called a towing company. They took away the car. Woke up to neighbor at my door, cussing me out with his Airbnb people behind him. Clearly, they woke him up and he's returning the favor. I told them car's been towed. Closed door after giving them info. 30 minutes later there's more pounding on the door. Cops are here. Everyone wants me charged with theft, public nuisance, other stuff I don't remember. Basically, to them I had no right to remove something on my property. I explained everything to cops. They were mad because no one told officers that I moved something unauthorized from my own property. Apparently, Airbnb people got car back, cancelled rest of their stay, wrote bad review, and now neighbors pissed no one has booked his house for 2 months out. He threatens to sue me for loss of business and mental damages. I've said bring it. So am I the a-hole? I probably could have talked first but thought what's fair is fair. Comment said not the a-hole. I mean you could have warned them. But who the hell parks on someone else's property and just assumes that's okay? It's so entitled. Maybe people like that need to have their car towed and the Airbnb hopefully learn to tell people where to park. Another comment said not the a-hole. Neighbor is ta for having an Airbnb in a single resident zones area. Though I may be a bit biased as I think all Airbnb owners are a-holes as they are significantly contributing to the housing disaster in the US. The next story is titled Male Karen Threatened a Delivery Driver for Standing in Allegedly the Wrong Place at the Counter of a Massive Yellow Fast Food Chain. Hi, I'm Alex. First time posting here. I hope you enjoy my short retelling of real events that took place yesterday, as I'm writing this. I work in a food delivery service. Every workday I arrive at the central hub to grab an electric bicycle, go to the bathroom, and get on my shift. I was about 2/3 of the way through this one when the incident happened. I was in a yellow massive fast food chain restaurant, waiting at the left side of the counter. The place was massively overcrowded. I could swear there were at least 100 people in the building. Along with me were 2 other delivery drivers, working for other companies. At one point, a person from the crowd pushes through and starts confronting one of the delivery drivers standing to the right of me near the counter. Karen told the delivery driver that he should be on the left, where I was already sharing space with one more delivery driver. When the delivery driver pointed out there was no space, and so did the person behind the counter, he got more agitated and raised his tone. At first, I went to separate the two. I kept saying, chill out, and calm down, while moving my arm between the two, facing the aggressor, Karen. The Karen got so agitated, he began yelling profanities, such as, ducking. I finally fronted him physically and told him, you're not going to get your order faster acting like this. This got him to finally turn his attention away from the other delivery driver and onto me. I finished by loudly stating, "So chill the duck out." At this point I could tell in my peripheral vision that other people in the restaurant began looking at the situation. The loud noise from their conversation has quieted. In fact, it got awfully quiet for a busy restaurant after I yelled that. For a moment, we just kept glaring at each other. Finally, I backed off. The Karen collects himself and makes something up about me being a delivery driver and him being a customer, so he's automatically correct. I said, "You talk like you're my boss," pointing out the fact that, no, he was not my boss. He didn't get to boss me. Afterward, the crowd of women behind the Karen spoke up and told him to calm down, and that finally convinced him to calm. I got the order eventually and left with no further incident. I could hear laughter from the crowd, and I couldn't help but smirk. Thinking back, there isn't a single thing I'd like to do different. Except maybe not yell, "duck," so much back when saying, "chill the duck out." Or maybe not even use "duck" at all in that instance. Oh well, it worked. The next story is titled, "You Wanna Eat My Food?" Well, forget me doing favors. I live in a shared house, it's good apart from one current housemate. Let's call him Sean. Sean has been helping himself to my food. I don't mind if he needs to use my coffee or milk, etc. But it's different when it's a whole item, and the last straw was going to dig into my bag of grapes I was really looking forward to. They were gone. I asked the other tenant, Kate, who I trust fully, and confirmed she didn't eat them. I know Sean had eaten them, due to past instances of things disappearing without asking. If he had asked if he could replace them, no biggie. So, I'm a shift worker, mainly night shift, which means I'm usually at home during the day. Sean orders a lot of items online. Like every day it's something for him. I'm the one that signs for them and takes them inside. So now I'm refusing to get up out of bed when the deliveries come, unless I'm waiting for something, so that Sean needs to either arrange re-delivery or go to the post office, which will mean him waiting some time as he finishes work when the post office closes. Thinking of chucking some sugar onto his floor so ants invade his room. I'm very tempted as well to use some of my dad's eye-watering, incredibly spicy homemade chili sauce and inject that into something and leaving it as bait to teach him a lesson about not messing with stuff that isn't his. The next story is titled, "Ghost Me? I'll sit on your board of directors." I went on a date with a guy a few months ago. It went well, we had a good conversation and a lot in common. He alluded to wanting to see me again, but afterwards, he pretty much ghosted me. I'm more upset at the fact that he alluded to wanting to see me again than didn't have the courtesy to say he wasn't into it. But whatever, it's fine, it happens. The guy lives in my neighborhood, which is a master-planned community of about 6,000 homes. We live on opposite ends. A few months later, I decide to run for the WA board, because I sat on the board of the WA I lived in prior, and I thought it was interesting. And no, I'm not your old neighborhood Karen. I'm a single guy in his 30s who just likes to get involved in the community around me. Come the night of the election, I honestly don't care what the outcome is. All I know is I did what I can to get my name out there. They introduce all the committees that report to the board, and lo and behold, the guy the first went on a date with is on 2 of these committees. Okay. Now I was determined to win. Not because I really care about him, but wouldn't it be funny if now he has to deal with me? I won one of the 2 seats up for election with the most votes. So now anything that his committee wants approved has to go through me, and he's forced to communicate with me. Also, a few weeks after our date, I hooked up with his neighbor who lives down the street from him, who he had a thing with. His neighbor had told me that he was super clingy, and I dodged a bullet. In fact, the neighbor had ghosted him right before we went out on our date. That guy told me to tell him we were hooking up, but come on now, I'm not that petty. The next story is titled, "So Apparently I'm the Scammer Now." Twice. Medium. Hello folks. It's been a hot minute since my last post, but today I had 2 interactions where guests accused me of being a scammer, and I have to share my nefarious schemes so that you too can make the big bucks. Scheme 1. Prey on those who never check their credit card statements. Phone's ringing and I'm glad I picked up because this lady immediately goes off about how we double charged her credit card and how we're scamming her. My coworker who was supposed to be manning the phone gets more flustered over those types than I do. I slow her down and she says we charged the room and taxes twice, once on her Amex and once on her husband's Visa. I calmly tell her we'll look into in and get the reservation info. It's an advance purchase, so we took a deposit prior to check-in to cover room and taxes, and then there were some parking incidentals. I tell her there's no duplicate charge and she argues that there is. She has the folio receipt and it shows the Visa as the card for the payment. The Visa, I tell her, was used for the parking, which is why it appears on the receipt. The way our system works, deposits just display as deposit, and don't indicate what card was used to cover them, which is why she doesn't see the Amex. No. She insists that I am wrong. So I ask if her husband's credit card statement showed a payment to our hotel. It does for exactly the parking charges and nothing else. I ask if there's anything else I can do for her now that that's settled and she asked me to send the receipts again. Scheme 2. Prey on frequent travelers fit insignificant amounts. Guy calls to ask about his charge to his credit card. He's a pretty dang shiny member but not super duper shiny. Obviously travels a lot and has earned a bunch of points. As I pull up the billing I immediately see what went wrong. He'd got a night using points but the routing wasn't set up and the $35 we charged to the parent company to cover the room rental was charged to him instead. With taxes came to just over $40. I apologize and explain it was an error. Usually this is set up when the reservation is made but sometimes we have to do it manually. There were multiple chances for us to catch it but we're all only human. I tell him not to worry and that the charge will be refunded to his card and ask if there's anything else I can do for him. He says no. So I hang up and go about my day. Soon after I see an alert that someone has left us a bad score on the survey they receive after checkout. This guy gave us a 1 and said, they tried to scam me for extra charges to my room. Unless someone pays me for my time I will never stay with this brand again. Hey buddy, don't threaten me with a good time. I closed the alert and responded, letting him know how important he is and how much we value his brand loyalty. I'm so sorry if my explanation on the phone was unclear, so I'll reiterate that this was a mistake on our part, that we admitted and are taking responsibility for, and that his $40 would be refunded as promised. Here, have some points. Feel free to use them at other properties as well. I mean, yes. I wouldn't want to pay $40 because of an error either. But come on, to call it a scam? If we were going to scam you, we'd try to make actual money. The next story is titled, "'Tis the Season for Scammers." I made a post about this a while back, but it just happened again. We received 6 packages for a guest, I'll call him, useless crapbag. All second-day air, very expensive. The guest then called in the middle of the night saying he made a mistake, and needed to give us new labels to have the packages forwarded. Using a different shipping company. To a different name. In a different state. To another hotel. I called the phone number on the packages from the shipper to let them know that the purchaser was almost certainly committing fraud, and that the packages would be returned to the shipper and not forwarded. I advised that they hold any packages purchases made on that credit card. After reading them the tracking numbers, they confirmed that the boxes contained 5 iPhones and 1 Apple Watch. I also called the hotel that they were trying to forward the packages to and let them know that once the scammer books with them, he hadn't made a reservation yet, because scammers are ducking stupid, that they should expect the same situation and that the credit card he gives them will almost certainly not work, and he will almost certainly not be checking in. Dear scammers, thieves, and useless crapbags. Get a ducking job, you goddamn losers. I hope you all rot in hell. You're not getting your stolen goods from us. Duck off. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.